is when you talk about legacy, and mate, it doesn't get much bigger than this. The comeback is going to be real. This is, you know, people write books about, movies about, and yeah, we're going to do it all Saturday night.
No, my physique is amazing. This training camp is so long, 3 months. The training camp. I have everything for this camp. You know, my body is healthy. No injuries. Nothing. Only a good shape.
Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes recently had their press conference and spoke about each other and what's at stake for each of them in this matchup. In light of this, Alexander Volkanovski did not get the rematch he wanted with Ilia Topuria, but he now finds himself with a next best opportunity as he takes on rising contender Diego Lopes for the vacant featherweight title. The former champion steps back into the spotlight against a young and dangerous opponent who many believe could usher in a new era. With growing hype around Lopes and questions about whether Volkanovski still has what it takes, the veteran is embracing the doubt and pressure as motivation to prove he remains a major force in the division.
And he was a guy the UFC wanted because he did everything right. So yeah, I can see a lot of that. And he'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. So full respect to him.
And you got your title shot after beating Aldo in Brazil. Obviously, you beat up Yair. So you beat up a Brazilian legend, you fought a Mexican legend, now you're fighting a guy that represents both countries. So I guess how's the fan reception been that you're fighting a guy that both of these countries kind of claim?
Well, yeah, fine. I mean, you know, there's no malice. I think everyone loves us both. You know, everyone's got a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect for me, and I haven't heard much at all.
As Volkanovski gears up for this pivotal clash, he believes there were plenty of fighters who could have been next in line for the vacant featherweight title, but ultimately he was the one the UFC chose because he had done everything right. While acknowledging the competitive landscape, Volkanovski recognized that Diego Lopes is the type of fighter who would face anyone at any time and gave him full credit for stepping up. The respect is there, but the mission remains the same as Volkanovski prepares to reclaim his place at the top of the division.
Yeah, I mean, if he does his thing, like we don't need to talk it up. He does his thing in an impressive fashion. He's got a tough, you know, guy in front of him. If he goes out there, mate, I'm sure the UFC are gonna you look at him as maybe his next as well. So you could be seeing it pretty soon. I mean, with this $1 million thing that he's talking about, I don't even know if he's serious about that. I mean, like, I think a lot of that is just trying to hype up to get the fighters. Like, mate, just put on a performance, you get the fight. You don't need to cut the bullshit, you know. Yeah, I'm you know, again, I'm a big fan of Yair Rodriguez. He's a good dude, but...
Moreover, Volkanovski views this moment as the greatest achievement of his career, not because of a belt or a victory, but because of the situation he now faces. For the first time, he is coming off a long layoff and back-to-back losses, stepping into unfamiliar territory with everything on the line. According to him, this is, without question, the biggest fight of his career. While many believe he has already done enough, Volkanovski sees it differently. In his eyes, the real work begins now, and the road to proving himself all over again starts this weekend.
Well, it is the greatest achievement. Just look at it. I've never been in this situation before, right? I've never come off such a big break. I've never come off 2 losses. So it's definitely the biggest fight. It really is the biggest fight of my career, you know. And you know, everyone's going to go, "Oh yeah, like you've done enough," but I haven't. I can do a lot more, and it starts this weekend. You know what I mean? It starts on Saturday, where this new title reign.
In contrast, Henry Cejudo believes that Alexander Volkanovski stepping into the cage this weekend is not the same fighter who once ruled the featherweight division. In his view, Diego Lopes is poised to pull off the win, and if Volkanovski does manage to get the job done, it will not be against Ilia Topuria, the man who took the title. Cejudo questions the path that led to this matchup, pointing out that the division is stacked and other potential contenders could have been in this spot. He highlights how both Volkanovski and Lopes arrived here and suggests that a closer look at the rankings raises questions about the matchup's legitimacy.
I don't think it's the same Volk, man. I personally think Diego Lopes is gonna beat him. I really do. But if Volkanovski does get it done, yeah, he gets it done. You know what I'm saying? It's not Ilia Topuria that he's going to beat. It's not you know what I'm saying? I just felt like if you really look at the division and what happened with Volkanovski and then how Diego Lopes kind of went in there, it's like, you know, there could have been a lot of other contenders too other than Volkanovski or maybe even Diego Lopes.
Furthermore, Henry Cejudo acknowledges that Alexander Volkanovski has accomplished incredible things at 145 pounds, but points out that the former champion is now coming off 3 losses against elite opposition. 2 of those defeats came by knockout, which raises concerns about where Volkanovski currently stands. While his resume remains one of the strongest in the division, Cejudo suggests that the recent setbacks cannot be ignored heading into this high-stakes matchup.
And particularly because Volkanovski has done some amazing things at 145 pounds, but he's also gone through 3 losses, you know, against the best in the world, but that's still 3, and that's 2 out of 3 were not.
With that in mind, Alex sees this moment as a defining chapter in his legacy. For him, it does not get any bigger than this. A comeback after setbacks, a shot at redemption, and a chance to reclaim his place at the top. He views this as the kind of story people write books and make movies about. On Saturday night, he plans to turn that vision into reality.
When you talk about legacy, and it doesn't get much bigger than this. The comeback is going to be real. This is a ship, you know, people write books about, movies about, and yeah, we're going to do it all Saturday night.
In the same vein, Daniel Cormier sees Alexander Volkanovski's position as one that only a select few ever get to experience. It is a rare space where every fight is significant and every outing carries the weight of championship implications. Cormier, having lived that reality himself, recognizes the unique pressure and privilege that comes with being in Volk's shoes, where every moment in the cage matters and every fight feels like a title bout.
Just honestly, it's a comfortable position, right? So few get to live in this place that you have lived in so long, that I was fortunate enough to live in, where every fight is a title fight. Every fight matters.
Echoing this sentiment, Luke Thomas highlights the rarity of what is unfolding at UFC 314, pointing out that it is uncommon for a fighter to have the chance to achieve something truly unprecedented in a single bout. Yet that is exactly the position Alexander finds himself in this weekend. With the stakes at an all-time high, Volkanovski has the opportunity to carve out a moment in UFC history that no other fighter has accomplished before.
It is very rare that a fighter gets an opportunity with a single bout to do something that no other fighter in UFC history has ever done before, but that is exactly what we're getting with Alexander Volkanovski here at UFC 314 this coming weekend. Now, everybody knows the score. Volkanovski is returning, and he's fighting Diego Lopes for the unclaimed but undisputed UFC featherweight title. It did belong to Ilia Topuria, who did beat Volkanovski, and of course then he beat Max Holloway, but then he left the division. So it is the full weight class title, and it is unclaimed.
Building on this point, Luke emphasizes that while the fight itself is compelling and offers plenty for fans to enjoy, the real headline is the unprecedented nature of what is at stake. No fighter in UFC history has ever come off back-to-back losses and gone on to win an undisputed title. It is a feat that has never been accomplished. There have been attempts in the past, with some fighters getting close, but no one has completed the journey. Alexander Volkanovski now stands alone with a chance to make history at UFC 314.
Fantastic fight. Lots to enjoy about it. But I mentioned just a moment ago that no fighter has done what Volkanovski is going to get the opportunity to do. So what is that? Well, it's simply stated just like this. No fighter in UFC history has ever lost back-to-back fights and then won an undisputed UFC title. It's never happened before. Now, there are some cases where guys tried, but they couldn't ultimately do it. And there is one case where someone kind of got halfway there.
On the other hand, Diego Lopes reflects on the wild journey that has led him to the biggest week of his career. With his full team by his side, he is locked in and fully embracing the moment. Lopes is soaking in the energy of fight week, describing the atmosphere as electric and the support from the MMA fraternity as something special. Heading into the biggest opportunity of his life, he says he feels better than ever.
I think it's the crazy journey for this time, right? But I worked too much. This week is the most important for my life because I have my whole team here with me. Yeah, the energy for the tournament for the team is so great. I feel amazing.
Building on this momentum, Lopes enters fight week feeling physically primed and fully prepared. After spending 3 months in camp, he reports that his strength is up, his body is healthy, and there have been no injuries along the way. He is confident in the work he has put in and believes he is in peak condition ahead of the biggest fight of his career. For Lopes, everything has come together at the right time, and he is ready to showcase it all in the octagon.
24.
No, my physique is is amazing. This training camp is so long, 3 months. The training camp. I have everything for this camp. You know, my body is healthy. No injuries. Nothing. Only a good shape.
In line with this preparation, Diego Lopes expects Alexander Volkanovski to approach this title fight with everything he has, viewing it as a final push to reclaim championship gold. He believes the former champion used his time off wisely and will show up in top form, fully focused on regaining the belt and cementing his legacy one more time. Lopes is preparing for the best version of Volkanovski to step into the cage.
So ele tomou também ano de descanso, então acho que ele vai vir na melhor forma possível para tentar recuperar o título e tentar ser 2 vezes campeão, né? Mas a gente está aqui.
I think he's going to try to take advantage of this last run for the title. You know, he took some time off, and I believe he's going to come in his best shape to try to win the belt back and be the champion again.
Reflecting on this opportunity, Lopes says being in this position is deeply gratifying after a journey filled with struggles along the way. For him, this moment is about seizing opportunity, something he believes everyone gets, but only a few truly capitalize on. Now that his time has come, he is focused on making the most of it by putting on a great performance. Lopes knows the people back in his hometown, his neighborhood, and his household believe in his potential, and he is determined to deliver on the big stage.
Vamos pra cima.
A question about, you know, basically the journey that led him over here, and you know, it's very gratifying to be here. A lot of struggles along the way, and you know, I've been saying a lot that everyone gets opportunities, and it's really up to each person to figure out how to take advantage of that opportunity. So that's what I'm trying to do now, and I want to go in there and put on a great fight and do good for this opportunity, and I know that everyone in my hometown, in my house, in my neighborhood, everyone knows what I'm capable of and that I can deliver.
On that note, Henry Cejudo believes Diego Lopes is going to bring the heat early in the fight, applying pressure right out of the gate. He expects Volkanovski to eventually give up space, noting that no one can evade that kind of aggression forever. While questioning how Lopes will handle the moment, Cejudo also points out that the Brazilian is a real threat, especially off his back. If Volkanovski takes the fight to the ground, Cejudo warns that Lopes has an underrated submission game, having adapted his jiu-jitsu extremely well for MMA.
Yeah, I think his pressure. I think he brings it early. Volkanovski will eventually give you distance. You can only run for so long. My question is for Diego Lopes. Where Diego Lopes is dangerous is in the first round, and then also he's really good on bottom. So if Volkanovski does take him to the ground, this dude's his submission game is underrated, bro. He changed his jiu-jitsu for MMA very, very well.
Expanding on this view, UFC commentator John Anik weighed in during a segment with Mike Bone, sharing his take on the stakes for Alexander Volkanovski at UFC 314. John Anik stated that purely on merit, this would be a massive accomplishment. Given the hype and respect surrounding Diego Lopes at this stage, a win over him, especially under Volkanovski's current circumstances, would carry serious weight. For Anik, if Volkanovski pulls this off, it will solidify his place as the most decorated featherweight champion in UFC history.
You know? Yes, I think based upon straight merit, right, this would be enormous, right? So I'm not necessarily going to give you a true false, but the way you and I and others feel about Diego Lopes, and I'm inferring there, right, beating a prime Diego Lopes right now to regain the throne on the back end of everything that Volkanovski has done, for me would make him cemented as the most decorated featherweight champion of all time.
In light of this, John Anik reflected on the challenge of comparing any fighter to Jose Aldo, admitting that he can barely be in the same room with Aldo without feeling starstruck. Having called Volkanovski's entire UFC career, Anik remembers watching his debut and being impressed by how good he already was, even without all the advanced tools he later developed. Over 9 years of relentless work have shaped Volkanovski into the fighter he is today.
Right. I think it's hard, like, when you compare anybody to Jose Aldo, because I can barely even be in a room with the guy. I get so starstruck, right? And I've called basically Volk's entire career. Kenny Florian and I just went back and watched Volk's UFC debut, bro, from 2016. And nice to see the lettuce flowing up top. But, dude, he was so good then, right? Wasn't switching stances all the time, you know? But, like, he was so good back then. And then you think about now the 9 years of hard work that have produced this guy.
Building on this perspective, according to Anik, if Volkanovski manages to get past Diego Lopes, it would be difficult to argue against him even when stacked up against someone like Aldo, who was also a 2-time champion in the featherweight division.
We'll see what happens, man. If he can get by Diego Lopes, yeah, I think for me, I would have a hard time arguing Jose Aldo.
And this uncertainty adds to the anticipation, as John noted that one of the most intriguing aspects of UFC 314 is seeing which version of Alexander Volkanovski shows up. He pointed out that part of the fan base and media believe the time off may have allowed Volkanovski to reset and return in prime form. They argue that before his UFC run, he may not have racked up the kind of damage others did. On the other hand, there is a segment that feels he is entering the twilight of his career and that his best days may be behind him. The answer will come when the cage door closes.
It's going to be interesting to see what version of Volkanovski shows up here. I think there's one segment of the fan base and the pundit base that believes that this time off is going to result in a prime Alexander Volkanovski showing up and that maybe he didn't lead the league in MMA miles pre-UFC. And then another segment of, I think people feel like he's, in the twilight of his career.
Given this, Anik shared that he is leaning toward the belief that fans will see a prime version of Alexander Volkanovski at UFC 314. He pointed to the preparation, the time off, and the energy coming from Volkanovski, which goes on to show that the former champion is dialed in and ready to deliver one of his best performances. However, the challenge may not lie in Volk's form, but rather in the fact that Diego Lopes is a dangerous and relentless opponent. Anik feels confident that Volkanovski will look sharp, but whether that will be enough remains to be seen.
And that's why they play the games. So we'll bring it all to you on pay-per-view. I tend to lean more towards we're going to get a prime Volkanovski, and the issue might just be that Diego Lopes is an absolute killer, right? I just feel like the vibe I'm getting from Volk, the preparation, the time off, I think he's going to perform as good as ever. Not sure it'll be enough. We'll find out.
Building on this, Ariel Helwani expressed that there is a real possibility that if Alexander Volkanovski loses on Saturday, he could consider retirement. Given the stakes of the fight and where Volkanovski stands in his career, Helwani believes the loss could lead to him walking away from the sport, but it remains uncertain how the former champion would respond to such a setback.
I do feel like there is a chance, that if Volk loses, or Volk, I know you guys get upset, that Volk loses on Saturday, I do feel like there is a chance that he retires.
Noting that it's a valid concern based on past conversations with a fighter, Ariel raised the question of whether Alexander Volkanovski might retire if he loses on Saturday. Volkanovski had mentioned to Helwani that he had been toying with the idea of stepping away from the sport, though he never fully committed to not making a comeback. Helwani pointed out that for the first time in his career, Volkanovski seemed comfortable, having already achieved greatness in his division. Given everything he's accomplished, Helwani wondered why Volkanovski would continue pushing himself if the spark wasn't there.
Man, Volk, is this in fact going to be do or die for him in the sense that if he loses, do we think he is going to hang it up? I think this is a fair question to ask, guys. Why do I think this is a fair question to ask? Because he told us about a month and a half or so ago that he was toying with the idea of like, should I even come back? Now, I don't think he got to the point of like, but it seemed like for the first time perhaps in his career, this was a thing. Life is good. I'm comfortable. Why go through all this? I climbed the mountain. I beat them all. What's the point?
In line with this sentiment, Helwani stated that if Alexander Volkanovski loses on Saturday, he wouldn't be surprised, even if the former champion chooses to continue his career. Ariel added, it's a major storyline heading into Saturday. Helwani acknowledged that Volkanovski has proven himself time and time again, and that despite a potential loss, his drive and competitive spirit could push him to keep going in the sport.
Now, he's not getting a chance to run it back with Ilya. He's getting a chance to fight someone he's never fought before. If in fact he loses, I would not be surprised, shocked. He says no mas. I also wouldn't be surprised if he continues, but I do think it's a fair question to ask. I think it is a very real thing.
Helwani also commented on Alexander Volkanovski's physique, noting that he appears to be in tremendous shape ahead of the fight. The former champion looks physically prepared and ready, with Helwani emphasizing how fit and focused Volkanovski seems heading into the high-stakes matchup.
And so I'm really curious to see how he looks. By all accounts, he appears to be in tremendous shape. I saw another photo of him and Teofimo Lopez yesterday. I mean, I don't recall him being this... It's not even
chiseled.
Jacked. Yeah, it's like he's chiseled and it looks like he has like 1% body fat. It's unbelievable. This is him a couple days ago. There's another photo of him that emerged with Teofimo Lopez outside a gym, and he looks to be absolutely shredded.
Building on this, Luke Thomas shared his thoughts on the broader implications of a Volkanovski win, noting that even with a victory, the long-discussed rematch with Ilia Topuria is likely off the table. He acknowledged that fans have been disappointed by that reality, but at Volkanovski's age, it may be time to look elsewhere. Returning to lightweight could be the only option, but Thomas pointed out that Volkanovski has already gone down that road, and it did not end well. He also questioned whether the UFC would even have much interest in pushing for another run at 155.
But to me, actually, folks have lamented, well, even if Volk wins, he can't get that rematch against Ilya. Yeah, probably not. That's probably gone. At age 36, I don't know if that's really going to be likely. He has to go back to 55, and he already tried that, and it didn't go well. I don't know if the UFC is even going to have an appetite for that.
Nevertheless, despite all the uncertainty surrounding Alexander Volkanovski's future, Luke believes the former champion still has the chance to do something truly extraordinary on Saturday. According to Thomas, Volkanovski can redefine his legacy in ways no one was even considering before. He has the opportunity to accomplish something that has never been done in UFC history, at least not in this way. While others have come close, no one has pulled it off like this, and Volkanovski now stands on the edge of making that kind of history.
Despite all of that, he can do something absolutely extraordinary on Saturday. He can define his legacy in all kinds of new ways that we weren't even considering before. He can do something that literally has never been done in the history of this organization. Not like this. People have gotten kind of close. Not like this. This is different. This is much more difficult to do.
In addition to that, Luke Thomas expressed his appreciation for the fact that Alexander Volkanovski has a chance to add to his legacy in a way that stands completely on its own. What excites him is that this moment has nothing to do with Ilia Topuria or Max Holloway. It is a fresh chapter and a unique opportunity for Volkanovski to make history on his terms, independent of past rivalries or narratives.
I love that he's got an opportunity to add to his legacy, and it's got nothing to do with Ilia Topuria. I like that he's got an opportunity to add to his legacy. It's got nothing to do with Max at this point anyway, or even before that, obviously the results of the losses to Islam. He's got a new way to add to his already sterling resume, and he doesn't have to do any kind of...
As UFC 314 looms, Alexander Volkanovski stands on the edge of legacy-defining redemption, while Diego Lopes eyes a breakout moment that could change everything. With history at stake and the spotlight burning bright, both men are ready to seize their moment. Come Saturday night, only one will rise to claim the throne. Who do you think will win? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you never miss the latest updates. That's all for this video, and we will see you in the next one.